It was a chilly autumn afternoon, and the bustling city streets were alive with the sound of honking cars and hurried footsteps. Adam, a 21-year-old college student, hurriedly adjusted his scarf as he exited the subway station. The weight of his textbooks in his backpack pressed heavily against his shoulders, a reminder of the mounting pressures of midterms and his part-time job. As Adam crossed the street toward his usual coffee shop, his gaze fell on a figure sitting by the curb. A man, wrapped in tattered blankets, clutched a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Anything helps." His face was obscured by a scruffy beard, and his eyes, though tired, carried an intensity that caught Adam off guard. Adam hesitated. He had walked this route countless times and often ignored the pleas of people like this man. But today, something felt different. Adam glanced at the crumpled $5 bill in his pocket, the last bit of cash he had before payday. "Hey," Adam said, crouching down. The man looked up, startled but grateful. "Thank you," the man murmured, his voice rough yet steady. Adam shook his head. "I was thinking, are you hungry? There's a diner right there. Let me get you something warm to eat." The man's lips parted in surprise, and for a moment, he seemed unsure of how to respond. "You'd do that?" "Of course," Adam said with a warm smile. At the diner, the waitress eyed the pair suspiciously, but took their order without comment. Adam introduced himself and learned that the man's name was Tom. They sat across from each other as Tom devoured a steaming bowl of chili. Between bites, Tom shared bits of his story, how he'd lost his job, faced eviction, and ended up on the streets. He didn't ask for pity, but there was an undeniable sadness in his words. Adam listened intently, offering a few words of encouragement. As they parted ways, Tom said, "You didn't have to do this. But you did. Thank you." "Everyone deserves kindness," Adam replied, waving goodbye. Little did he know, this small act would set the stage for a revelation that would change his life forever. The next few days passed uneventfully for Adam. His routine was a monotonous cycle of lectures, study sessions, and late shifts at the campus library. Yet, he couldn't shake the memory of his encounter with Tom. It wasn't the first time Adam had helped someone, but something about Tom lingered in his thoughts. One evening, as Adam left the library and headed toward his dorm, a familiar figure caught his eye. There, on the same curb as before, was Tom, sitting with his cardboard sign. The sight tugged at Adam's heart. This time, Adam didn't hesitate. "Tom," he called out, crossing the street. Tom looked up, visibly surprised. "Adam? Didn't expect to see you again." Adam crouched beside him. "How's it going? Found any leads for work or a shelter?" Tom shook his head, his expression guarded. "No luck yet, but that's life, right?" Adam frowned. "Have you tried the community center downtown? They have job boards and resources for housing." "I've tried everything," Tom replied, his tone clipped. But then, his features softened. "Look, I appreciate your concern, but I've been doing this a long time. People promise help, but it rarely comes through." Adam sighed, unsure of how to respond. "Okay, but if you ever need something, anything, let me know." He pulled out a scrap of paper and scribbled his phone number on it. "Call me, all right?" Tom took the paper, eyeing Adam with a mix of gratitude and skepticism. "You're a good kid. Most people wouldn't stop to talk, let alone offer this." Adam smiled. Maybe they should. As Adam walked away, he couldn't shake a nagging feeling. Something about Tom's demeanor felt off, not in a threatening way, but as if there was more to his story than he was letting on. Later that night, Adam received a text from an unknown number. "Thanks for the chili. Tom?" Adam chuckled, replying, "Anytime. Don't hesitate to reach out." He had no idea that this simple gesture of sharing his number would lead to one of the most unexpected revelations of his life. Over the next few weeks, Adam and Tom developed an unlikely friendship. It started with sporadic texts, Tom would occasionally ask for advice or share tidbits about his day. Adam found himself looking forward to these exchanges, despite his busy schedule. One chilly Saturday morning, Adam decided to bring Tom a thermos of coffee and a bagel. He found him in his usual spot, bundled in his worn-out blankets. "Morning, Tom," Adam greeted cheerfully, handing him the warm coffee. Tom grinned, accepting the thermos. "You're spoiling me now. Just making sure you don't freeze out here." Adam sat down beside him, ignoring the curious glances from passers-by. As they chatted, Tom's guarded exterior began to fade. He opened up about his past, how he had once worked as a project manager for a tech firm before a series of bad investments and personal tragedies sent his life spiraling. "You know," Tom said, staring at the sidewalk, "it's funny how quickly people forget you exist when you're down and out. One day you're shaking hands in boardrooms, the next you're invisible." Adam nodded, feeling a pang of empathy. "But you're not invisible to everyone, and it's never too late to turn things around." Tom gave a small, humorless laugh. "You're young, Adam. You still believe in second chances. The world isn't as forgiving as you think." "Maybe not," Adam admitted. "But I do. And I think you should too." Tom looked at Adam, his expression unreadable. "You're a strange kid, you know that?" "Maybe," Adam replied with a grin. "But you're stuck with me now." That day, Adam invited Tom to join him at the community center he had mentioned before. Reluctantly, Tom agreed. Though skeptical, he appreciated Adam's determination. As they walked to the center, Tom glanced at Adam and said, "You're different. Most people wouldn't bother." Adam shrugged. "I guess I don't see the point in not trying." Unbeknownst to Adam, his unwavering kindness was chipping away at a wall Tom had spent years building. And while Adam thought he was simply helping a friend, Tom was quietly observing him, testing his sincerity. What Adam didn't realize was that Tom had a secret, one that would soon turn his world upside down. The community center buzzed with activity as Adam and Tom walked in. Volunteers sorted donations while others helped visitors search for housing or job opportunities. Tom looked around, his expression a mix of discomfort and curiosity. "You'll be fine," Adam said, giving him a reassuring pat on the back. "Let's check the job board first." Tom followed reluctantly, scanning the postings. Adam noticed him pause at one in particular. "Seeking experienced project manager for a startup, competitive pay." "Hey, this could be perfect for you," Adam said, pointing at the flyer. Tom hesitated. "I don't know. It's been years since I worked in an office. And besides, I don't exactly have a polished resume right now." Adam frowned but didn't push. "Okay, but keep it in mind. You've got experience, and that's what counts." As they left the center, Adam noticed Tom glancing at his phone. It wasn't a cheap, outdated model like he'd expect. It was sleek, high-end, and clearly well-maintained. "Nice phone," Adam said, half joking. Tom quickly tucked it into his coat pocket, his face unreadable. "It was a gift, old friend." Adam raised an eyebrow but didn't press the matter. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Tom than he let on. Later that evening, as Adam sat in his dorm reviewing class notes, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Tom. "You're a good kid, Adam. Keep being you." Adam smiled but felt a twinge of curiosity. Who was Tom, really? His story didn't completely add up. How did someone with such an extensive professional background end up on the streets? And that phone, it didn't fit the narrative Tom had painted. Over the next few days, Adam began noticing more inconsistencies. Tom seemed oddly well-versed in current tech trends, throwing around terms like machine learning algorithms and blockchain integration with ease. One evening, during one of their conversations, Adam asked, "How do you know so much about tech? Did you keep up with it after leaving your job?" Tom's eyes flickered with something Adam couldn't quite place. Pride? Amusement? "Let's just say old habits die hard," he replied cryptically. Adam didn't know it yet, But these subtle clues were breadcrumbs leading to a shocking truth, one that would challenge everything he thought he knew about his new friend. A week later, as Adam walked back from his late shift at the campus library, his phone buzzed with a call from Tom. It was unusual. Tom rarely called unless it was urgent. "Hey Tom, what's up?" Adam asked, concerned. "I need you to meet me at the old cafe near the park," Tom said, his voice unusually serious. "There's something I need to tell you." "Now?" "It's late," Adam replied, glancing at his watch. "Trust me, it can't wait," Tom insisted before abruptly hanging up. Adam, intrigued and a little worried, made his way to the cafe. When he arrived, he found Tom sitting in a secluded corner. His appearance was as unkempt as always, but his expression was calm, almost calculated. "Thanks for coming," Tom said as Adam sat down. "What's going on?" Adam asked, his curiosity piqued. Tom leaned back in his chair and took a deep breath. "There's something I haven't been honest about." Adam frowned. "Okay, what is it?" Tom hesitated before pulling out a sleek, polished laptop from a battered backpack. The device looked out of place among his worn belongings. He opened it and, with a few quick keystrokes, revealed a digital portfolio of impressive projects, startup ventures, patents, and tech designs. Adam's jaw dropped. "Wait, you worked on all this?" Tom nodded. "I didn't just work on it. I created it. I founded these startups, built these systems." Adam stared at him, speechless. Tom continued, his voice calm but tinged with regret. "I wasn't always on the streets, Adam. I used to be a tech entrepreneur. I made millions, more money than I knew what to do with. But I let greed and ambition cloud my judgment. A bad business deal wiped out everything I had, and I went from being a CEO to living on the streets within months." Adam leaned forward, trying to process the revelation. "Why didn't you tell me any of this before?" Tom shrugged. "People see a homeless man and assume they know his story. It's easier to let them think what they want. But you treated me like a person. You saw me when no one else did." Adam's mind raced. He had never expected his simple act of kindness to uncover such a dramatic story. As Tom sat back, his gaze steady, Adam realized this was only the beginning. "What now?" Adam asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Tom smiled faintly. "Now, we figure out where to go from here." The following day, Adam couldn't focus on his classes. Tom's revelation played on a loop in his mind, raising a torrent of questions. Could it be true? Was the homeless man he befriended really a former tech tycoon? After his last lecture, Adam decided to meet Tom again, this time determined to get answers. He found him in their usual spot by the curb. Tom looked up and smirked as Adam approached. "Still processing, huh?" Tom said, reading the expression on Adam's face. "Yeah," Adam admitted, sitting beside him. "You've got to tell me everything. I still don't understand how you ended up here." Tom sighed, his shoulders slumping. "It's a long story, but I'll give you the short version. I co-founded a tech company in my early 30s. We created cutting-edge software for startups, and it took off like wildfire. We were making millions, but success can be a double-edged sword." He paused, staring at the passing cars. "My business partner and I had different visions. I wanted to innovate. He wanted to scale and sell out. We clashed, and when I refused to compromise, he blindsided me. He sold the company, froze me out, and left me with nothing. I made a few desperate moves to try and rebuild, but by then, I was buried in debt. I lost my house, my savings, everything." Adam listened intently, his heart heavy with empathy. "But you still have skills, knowledge. Why stay on the streets?" Tom chuckled dryly. "Pride, shame, take your pick. For years I convinced myself I didn't deserve a second chance. But meeting you, it's made me rethink that." Adam tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Tom turned to him, his eyes sharp and determined. "You reminded me of something I'd forgotten. that there are still good people in the world, and that maybe, just maybe, I'm not done yet. He pulled out a notepad filled with sketches and notes. I've been working on an idea, something new, something big, but I can't do it alone. Adam blinked, caught off guard. You want my help? I'm just a college student. Tom smiled. Exactly. Fresh perspective, untapped potential. You've got the heart for this, Adam. What do you say? Want to help me build something extraordinary? Adam hesitated, but deep down, he knew his answer. Adam sat in his dorm room that night, staring at the notepad Tom had given him. It was filled with scribbled ideas, flowcharts and diagrams, half-baked yet brimming with potential. The sketches outlined a platform that could revolutionize the way small businesses operated, offering tools for streamlining operations, managing finances, and growing their customer base. Tom's enthusiasm during their last conversation lingered in Adam's mind. For the first time, Tom seemed alive, driven by a purpose. Adam couldn't help but feel the infectious energy of the project. The next morning, he texted Tom, "I'm in. Let's do this." Tom's response was almost immediate. "Meet me at the library at noon. Bring coffee." When Adam arrived, Tom was already there, hunched over a laptop, his fingers flying across the keyboard. The transformation was remarkable. Gone was the weary man on the curb. In his place was a focused, determined individual who seemed entirely in his element. "I've started outlining the software's core functions," Tom said, gesturing to the screen. "But there's a lot of work to do. We'll need research, prototypes, funding." "Funding?" Adam interrupted, frowning. Tom grinned. "Relax. I've got connections, old friends who still owe me a favor or two. But first, we need a solid pitch." The two of them dove into the work. Adam handled market research, identifying small businesses' common pain points, while Tom focused on developing the software's framework. They spent hours brainstorming at the library, fueled by caffeine and a shared determination. Despite the long hours, Adam found himself enjoying the process. He was learning more about the tech world than he ever had in his business classes. More importantly, he was beginning to see Tom in a new light, not just as a friend, but as a mentor. One evening, as they wrapped up their session, Adam asked, "Why me? Out of all the people you've met, why trust me with this?" Tom looked at him, his expression serious. "Because you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. That's rare, Adam, and I don't take it for granted." Adam smiled, his resolve strengthening. Together they were building more than just a platform. They were building hope, trust, and a second chance for both of them. Months of tireless work passed. The project, now named Next Step, had evolved from a rough idea into a functional prototype. Adam and Tom worked side by side, each bringing their strengths to the table. Adam's youthful creativity complemented Tom's experience and technical expertise. Despite the progress, challenges loomed. Securing funding proved tougher than they had anticipated. Most of Tom's old contacts were skeptical, wary of his tarnished reputation. Rejections piled up, and frustration grew. One evening, Adam found Tom sitting on a park bench, staring at the city lights. "Another no?" Adam guessed, taking a seat beside him. Tom nodded, his expression weary. "It's hard convincing people to trust me again. My name doesn't carry the weight it used to." Adam looked at him, determination lighting his eyes. "Then let's prove them wrong. We don't need their faith. We'll show them results." Inspired by Adam's words, Tom refused to give up. He reached out to a venture capital firm he had once mentored during their early days in the industry. To their surprise, the firm agreed to hear their pitch. The day of the presentation arrived, and Adam couldn't shake the nerves twisting in his stomach. He glanced at Tom, who was uncharacteristically quiet as they set up their slides in the sleek conference room. When it was their turn to speak, Tom stepped forward. He began not with the product, but with his story. "I won't sugarcoat it. I've made mistakes. I lost everything because of my arrogance and greed. But I also learned what matters most: resilience, trust, and the power of starting over. This project isn't just software. It's a chance to give people what I've found, a way to rebuild. The room fell silent, captivated by his raw honesty. Then Adam took over, walking the investors through the technical details and the market potential of Next Step. He ended with a passionate plea. This isn't just about helping businesses. It's about creating opportunities for those who need a fresh start. That's what this platform stands for. The investors exchanged glances, nodding thoughtfully. A week later, the call came. The venture capital firm had agreed to fund the project. Adam and Tom celebrated in the most fitting way. A modest dinner at the same diner where their friendship began. As they toasted with coffee mugs, Tom said, "You saved me, Adam. You didn't have to, but you did. I'll never forget that." Adam grinned. "You saved yourself, Tom. I just reminded you that you could." Together they had turned an act of kindness into a partnership that would change lives, not just their own, but countless others.